Hi everybody, today I've got a grammar lesson for you and it is about the structure I wish and when we should use I wish with the past simple, when we should use I wish with the past perfect, and when you can use wish with would as well. So we're going to look at wishes in the present and future, how to express regrets in the past, and how to criticize somebody as well about something that you want them to stop doing. Okay, so those are the key objectives of today's lesson. So let's take a look at the first slide. Okay, here we have I wish and the past simple. Now, after I wish, we use the past simple, or you can also use the past continuous to talk about things that we would like to be different in the present or future. The meaning is not past, and like the second conditional, this is an example of the subjunctive. Remember, we've got a parallel universe where we're talking about things that aren't real. So that's why we use the past for present meaning, is to create that distance from reality. And so if you wanted to talk about something which is more realistic, you wouldn't choose to use the construction with wish. Okay, in that case, you would use hope. So if there's a real or there's a strong possible future, we can use hope instead. So it's a bit more optimistic. And I'll give you an example at that when we look at some examples of I wish. So just wait there for that point. And the last thing to mention on this slide, with I wish, I wish and past simple, in fact, with all of these constructions I'm going to show you today, you can say if only instead of I wish. Okay, it's a little bit stronger in meaning and more formal in register. So it sounds a little bit more formal if you use it and a little bit stronger. But it is an alternative and it also takes the past simple to talk about the present meanings. Let's take a look at some examples here. So, I wish I had more time. I never seem to get everything done. If only you were coming to the wedding this weekend, you will be missed. Okay, here it's the past continuous, because in present meaning, if it was real, we would use you are coming or you aren't coming to the wedding, right? We're using the present continuous to talk about present or future meaning. And so when we use I wish or if only, we're going to use the past continuous. I hope that makes sense. The next one. She wishes she could buy a bigger house. Okay, in reality, she can't buy a bigger house for whatever reason, but she wishes she could. And this is actually the example which I wanted to demonstrate the difference between wish and hope with you. I want to show you the difference. So let's imagine that it's much more possible for her to buy this house, a bigger house. So let's change wish to hope. So we would say she hopes she can buy a bigger house. Yeah, we use the present meaning. We don't go back a step to the past to create that distance, because when we use hope, it's a more realistic, it's a more possible thing that could happen, right? So hopefully you can see the difference. Now, in the case of hope, she might have a reason to think it's really possible for her to buy a bigger house. Maybe she's going to get a pay rise, or maybe she's going to get an inheritance. So she has a reason to think that this is more realistic and not just a dream, which when we use wish, that suggests it's more a dream and there's not such a strong possibility of our wish coming true, which is a difference between wish and hope. Okay, so I hope you can see and feel the difference between wish and hope and why we use the different constructions after them. It's all to do with reality. Like the first and second conditional, one's real, one's not. Okay, so there's lots of parallels that you can draw here, okay, with the conditionals. Let's have a look at wish in the question form. Do you ever wish you were younger? Yeah. Do you ever wish you were younger? Because of course we can't change our age, so it has to be unreal. But do you ever wish you were younger? And the last one here, if only I was, or if only I were taller. A lot of people ask, oh, is it was or is it were? Don't worry about this one, because actually they are both correct. Okay, so note the use of was or were here. We can say both, whichever one you prefer to use. Moving on to when we use wish with the past perfect. So after wish, we use the past perfect to talk about things that did or didn't happen in the past, which we now regret. Okay, so of course we can't change the past. Okay, so this is always unreal, a little bit like the third conditional. So, and as it says here, this is an unreal use of the past perfect. Okay, it really would be past simple if it was real, but it's not. So we have to go back a step to create the distance from one real universe to the parallel unreal universe. Okay, so remember that it is common for I had to be contracted to I'd. Okay, so you're going to hear I'd a lot here. Here are some examples of wish with the past perfect. I wish I hadn't drunk so much coffee last night. I slept terribly. Okay, I drank too much coffee, so I didn't sleep well. I wish I hadn't drunk so much coffee. If only you had said something, I would have been able to help you. Remember, if only is a little bit stronger, sometimes a bit more formal than I wish, but you can also use it here. She wishes she'd studied harder for her exams because she failed them. Okay, she didn't study hard enough. She failed her exams. So maybe if she had studied harder, there's a third conditional, she would have passed them. So she wishes she'd studied harder. Do you ever wish you'd been born in a different generation? There you go. This is the question form here. Do you ever wish you'd been born in a different generation? And if only I had remembered to call. Now she won't talk to me. So yeah, I'm really cross that I didn't remember to call. Okay, maybe now my friend isn't talking to me. So if only I had remembered to call. And here's the last construction we're going to look at today. It looks like, with all that red, it looks like there's not many things you can do. But there are, trust me, this is a useful construction. So when you can use wish with would, or when you should use wish with would. So after I wish, we use a person plus would to criticize things we would like to happen or not happen, usually because they annoy us. So when somebody or something is doing something that annoys us, we can use I wish they would stop doing that, okay? Now, you can't use wish and would to talk about yourself. So you can't say, I wish I would work less. That's not grammatically possible, okay? I wish I worked less. You'd have to go back and use the past simple to talk about a change to the situation. And using that rule, you can't use would if the subject of wish is the same as the subject of would. So that sounds a bit complicated. But basically, you can't say Sarah wishes she would speak more confidently. Yeah, so although that annoys her, the fact that she can't speak as confidently as she would like, grammatically, it's not possible for her to say would about herself, okay? In this case, we would have to say, Sarah wishes she spoke more confidently. Sarah wishes she spoke more confidently. And that's because the subject can't be the same for the wish clause and the would clause, okay? It's not grammatically possible. In those cases, you'll have to use the past simple for present meaning. Remember that it is also common for would to be contracted to apostrophe D, the same as had, so please be careful with this. Of course, you can always identify whether it's would or had by looking at the second verb. Is it in the infinitive? For example, she'd be. Well, we know because it's be, then apostrophe D in that case is would. If it's she'd been, then we know apostrophe D is had because the been is the past participle, the third form, and therefore grammatically it can only be the past perfect. Okay, so hope that tip helps you to identify whether it's had or would when it's contracted. So let's look at some examples of wish and would. I wish they'd stop talking so loudly I can't hear myself think. Okay, I wish they'd stop talking so loudly I can't hear myself think. Okay, so I want them to change their behaviour, to stop doing something so annoying. So I wish they'd stop. They wish the sun would come out. It's been raining all week. Okay, so here you've got something rather than someone. She wishes he'd listen to her more often. Do you ever wish your boss would offer you a pay rise? And the last one, if only you would try harder with your schoolwork. Yeah, so looking at all of those examples, those are things that annoy the subject of the wish clause and that they would like to change. Okay, so I hope that clarifies when you can use these 3 constructions with would. It would be lovely if you could use the comment section below to practice with these constructions with wish. And if you have any questions or doubts or any other things that you'd like me to talk about in another lesson. And if you found this video useful, please like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Well, thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.